r/no sleep. Posted by you/towerwatcher1993 6 hours ago. I accepted a job as a fire lookout in a remote national forest. I've been here 2 weeks, and I'm terrified to go down the stairs. You know that feeling when life backs you into a corner so tight you can't breathe? That was me 3 months ago. My fiancé left me, my debt was spiraling, and the city noise felt like it was physically scraping the inside of my skull. I didn't just want a new job, I wanted to vanish. So when I saw the listing for a fire lookout in the Cascades, seasonal, remote, strictly solo, I applied immediately. I didn't care about the pay. I cared that the nearest human being would be 20 miles away. The interview was weirdly short. The ranger, a guy named Holloway who looked like he hadn't slept in a decade, didn't ask about my qualifications. He just asked if I was sound of mind and if I was comfortable with extreme isolation. I told him I craved it. He stamped my paper, handed me a set of keys, and said, "Tower 14, it's the furthest out. Don't let the radio silence get to you." That was it. The first week was exactly what I needed. Tower 14 is a 40-foot steel structure jutting out of a sea of pine and fir. The cab at the top is a 14 by 14 room with windows on all sides. It's like living in a glass box in the sky. My routine was simple. Wake up, brew coffee on the propane stove, scan the horizon for smoke, radio in the all clear to Holloway at 08 and 18, read, sleep. It was peaceful. The silence was heavy, but it felt like a blanket. Then came day 8. I woke up around 3 a.m. I'm a heavy sleeper, but something woke me. The wind usually howls up here, rattling the glass panes, but that night it was dead silent. The kind of silence that feels pressurized, like the air before a thunderstorm. I sat up in my cot and looked out the south-facing window. The moon was bright enough to illuminate the tree line below. There was something standing at the edge of the clearing. From 40 feet up, perspective can be tricky, but this didn't look like a bear or a cougar. It looked like a man. He was just standing there, facing the tower. He wasn't moving, he wasn't looking around. He was just a dark, vertical smudge against the gray-blue of the forest. I grabbed my binoculars. My hands were shaking a little, not from fear, I told myself, but from the cold. I brought them to my eyes and focused. It wasn't a man. It was a deer, a buck, but it was standing on its hind legs. Its posture was perfectly straight, its front hooves hanging limp at its sides like human arms. Its head was snapped back at an unnatural angle, staring directly up at my window. I dropped the binoculars. When I looked back with my naked eyes, the clearing was empty. I convinced myself it was a dream. Isolation psychosis, right? It happens. I spent the next day drinking too much coffee and aggressively reading a paperback thriller, trying to drown out the memory of that deer. Day 9 is when the radio started acting up. I radioed in my 1800 check-in. Tower 14 to base, all clear, over. Usually, Holloway responds within 10 seconds. Base to Tower 14, copy that, have a good night. This time, static hissed for a solid minute. Then a voice cut through. It wasn't Holloway. It sounded wet. That's the only way I can describe it, like someone trying to speak with a mouthful of water. Tower 14, are you lonely? I froze, my thumb hovering over the talk button. Base? Holloway, is that you? You're breaking up. Static. Then, the door. Is it locked? Jack? My blood turned to ice. I hadn't told anyone my name was Jack. On the official forms, I'm John. Only my ex and my family call me Jack. I didn't answer. I turned the radio volume down to a whisper and checked the trapdoor in the floor. It was bolted. I dragged my heavy trunk over it anyway. Things escalated on day 10. I went out onto the catwalk. the metal grate balcony that wraps around the cab to empty my gray water bucket. It was mid-afternoon, bright and sunny. I looked down the stairs. The stairs are steep, open-air metal grates. About halfway down, maybe 20 feet off the ground, there was something tied to the railing. I squinted. It looked like a bundle of rags. Against my better judgment, I walked down. The wind whipped at my jacket. As I got closer, the smell hit me first. Copper and rot. It wasn't rags. It was a collection of dead birds. Jays, crows, sparrows. They were tied together by their own intestines, looped around the metal railing in a complex, decorative knot. They weren't just dead. They were mashed, like they'd been squeezed by a giant hand. I retched, pulling a knife from my pocket to cut them loose. I didn't want that hanging there. As I sawed through the grisly rope, I heard a sound from the brush below. Click, click, click. It sounded like someone snapping their tongue against the roof of their mouth, but loud, amplified. I looked down. Standing at the base of the tower, directly beneath me, was Holloway. "Jesus, Holloway!" I shouted, the relief nearly buckling my knees. "You scared the hell out of me. Did you see this sick shit on the stairs?" Holloway didn't look up. He was wearing his ranger uniform, but it looked 2 sizes too big. His hat was pulled low. "Holloway!" He slowly tilted his head back. It wasn't Holloway. It was his face. I recognized the beard, the nose, but it was worn like a mask. The skin was loose, sagging around the jawline. And the eyes? There were no eyes, just smooth, pale skin where the sockets should be. The thing opened its mouth, and that wet, gurgling voice from the radio drifted up. "Jack, come down." I scrambled back up the stairs so fast I bruised my shins on the metal steps. I bolted the trapdoor, dragged the trunk back over it, and pushed the table on top of that. I grabbed the radio mic, screaming for help. "Mayday! Mayday! This is Tower 14. I have an intruder. I need police. I need help." The radio didn't crackle with static. It just hummed. Then, perfectly clear, my own voice came back to me. "Mayday! Mayday! I have an intruder." Then, the sound of laughter, not human laughter. It sounded like a hyena trying to mimic a baby.
That was 2 days ago. I haven't slept. I have a shotgun, standard issue for bears, but I only have 6 shells. Yesterday, day 12, the mimicry started getting worse. It's not just the radio anymore. I hear my mother calling my name from the woods. I hear my ex-fiancé crying, begging me to let her in. It sounds exactly like them. It knows things it shouldn't know. It screamed about the time I broke my arm when I was 7. It whispered the last words I said to my dad before he died. But the worst part isn't the noise, it's the silence. This morning, I looked out at the forest. The trees have moved. I know how that sounds, but I have a map. I have landmarks I use to scan for smoke. The large, distinctive oak that was 200 yards to the east, it is now 50 yards from the base of the tower. The tree line is closing in. The forest is literally tightening around the tower like a noose. I found the logbook from the previous lookout an hour ago. I was tearing the place apart looking for more ammo when I found it wedged behind the propane tank. The last entry is dated 3 weeks before I arrived. October 4th. They don't like the light. If you turn off the lantern, they can't find the door. But if you turn off the lantern, the dark gets in. I think I'm going to jump. It's better than let them unmake me. Unmake me. That phrase has been looping in my head. I'm posting this now because the generator is sputtering. I have maybe an hour of power left for the satellite uplink. Once the power dies, the lights go out. I can hear them on the stairs now. Not one, dozens. It sounds like wet slaps against the metal. Slap, drag, slap, drag. They aren't knocking anymore. They are testing the metal of the cab floor. I can feel the vibrations in my feet. They are scratching at the underside of the trap door. I looked out the window 5 minutes ago. The sun is setting, but the forest isn't getting dark. There is a pale green luminescence rising from the ground, and in that light I saw them. There are hundreds of them, things that look like deer, things that look like men, things that look like Holloway. They are all standing in a perfect circle around the tower, staring up. And they are all smiling. Wait. I just heard the radio click on by itself. It's Holloway's voice again, but it's clear this time, urgent. Tower 14, this is Holloway. Listen to me carefully. We found your car at the trailhead. It's been smashed. We're coming up with a team, but we're 4 hours out. Jack, whatever you do, do not look at the sky. Do you copy? The suppression field is failing. Don't look at the sky. I don't know if it's really him. I don't know if it's another trick. But the scratching under the floor has stopped. The banging on the stairs has stopped. It's dead quiet. And something is tapping on the glass of the skylight. I'm going to look up. I have to know. If I don't update this, don't take the job at Blackwood Ridge. Don't go into the woods. And if you hear your own voice calling for help from the dark, don't answer. Update coming if I survive the night.